So Project Blueprint is an initiative that came out of a call I got from Artie Bulgren, who's the head of research at ESPN, almost 2 years ago now. And Artie said that some of the work that they had done at ESPN was showing them that if you take a given number of ad impressions and you spread them across media or across platforms versus taking that same number of impressions and delivering just on one medium, that you get a greater impact from the former. And given that, it was pretty vital, I guess, for ESPN to have access to data that measured the overlap of these different platforms in terms of reach and frequency. And Artie asked if we would build it, felt that we were the only company in conjunction with Arbitron that had the radio data that they needed, that we were the only two companies who could build it. So one thing led to another, and ESPN sponsored the building of the system, which was completed at the end of last year. So Project Blueprint measures 5 platforms. It measures radio, measures television, it measures desktop, smartphone, and tablets. And it measures the overlap of all those audiences. Now, what's interesting is that with those 5 platforms, there are 31 different combinations thereof. And so you can imagine the challenge in terms of statistical reliability and precision with such an objective of measuring that many different platforms in an overlap sense. And so what we realized quickly is that to build it, you had to go way beyond the normal use of simple sample sizes that's been prevalent in media research since the industry began, if you will. And so we use a lot of different approaches. It requires panels, it requires the use of IP addresses, it requires the use of direct feeds from website servers, it requires the use of some Arbitron technology that measures television viewing by identifying the audio, embedded audio signal in the content in the ad. But bottom line, after a lot of work, we've built it and seen some really amazing results, because it's pretty clear that if before Project Blueprint a media planner had information on each of these individual platforms in a siloed sense, so individually, and then used, as they do, some mathematical formulae to estimate what the overlap is across these audiences, when you compare what the overlap really is through Project Blueprint with what estimates would be, they are very, very different, which I think says that media plans that are based on just these assumptions of overlaps are fundamentally flawed. So I think we've brought something new and something powerful to the industry. We've also found that you have to measure this, by the way, this overlap of audiences, you have to measure it by demographic segment. And we found that the overlap of these segments varies pretty dramatically according to the demographics that you might be looking at. So younger people's overlap patterns across platform are very different from older people. We've also seen that the assumptions that are made absent these actual data about, for example, the pervasiveness of digital across these different demo segments is markedly different than what one would assume from theoretical computation absent the data. So bottom line, Project Blueprint is completed. We're now in the phase of building out subscribers broadly beyond ESPN to the system. We have an important project underway with the Coalition for CIMM, Coalition for Innovative Media Measurement, that is a next step in the validation of all of this data that we've collected. So Project Blueprint and cross-platform measurement is here, and I think it's demonstrating its value. We're pretty excited about the future of it. So I think once we're done with this SIM project here over the next several months, I think we'll then be in a position where we will have demonstrated the validity, if you will, of all of this data and helped educate the industry broadly beyond just ESPN as to what the data means, for them. And I think at that point we'll be looking for a pretty aggressive expansion of the sponsorship of the system.